All right, everybody, let's talk about something that not everybody is talking about. At least maybe I missed it. I know that I saw it and I thought there was going to be news. I thought there was going to be more conversation, but it seems like in the media, there's not enough love going out there to David Montgomery. So before we get into this, yes, we could be making a video talking more about Hutchinson. We could talk about his replacement possibilities, and I will. I will talk about that later this week. Chris already made a video on it yesterday about a player we are linked to, so feel free to go check that out as well. But David Montgomery quietly signs in the middle of the year, 2-year contract extension over a year before he is due a new contract because he was already signed through next year. So we look at this and we have to start wondering to ourselves, okay, what is the point of what they're doing? And I think what we're seeing in the NFL right now is that running backs are making a comeback. That's the way it goes. All right, running backs are making a comeback. It's really, really that simple. And so once again, the Detroit Lions have done this and they have gotten ahead. All right, they have gotten ahead of the NFL and the rest of the league, and they have signed David Montgomery for a contract extension worth $18.25 million over 2 years. We're hearing 18, we're hearing 18.5, we're hearing all these different types of things. But it's all right around that $9 million a year. So the question I have for you before I explain why I think they did it is, how do you feel about the contract extension for David Montgomery? Is it too early? Is it perfect timing? Or are you in the wait and see approach? Let me know in your comments below. Let me know how you feel about David Montgomery, but I'm going to give you some numbers that don't lie. So let's first look at the contract itself. And I had to go to 2 different places because if you go to Spotrac, which is generally, or Spot Track, however you say it, all right, this is generally my favorite one. What they did was they got rid of the 2025 year. He has a base salary here of $5.5 million still, but it opened it up so we can see kind of, all right, he's still got the signing bonus through these 2 years, but this contract extension will be for the years of 2026 and 2027. So you can figure about $9 million of each right here. All right. And this cap hit, or however you want to call it, the guaranteed money is about $10 million. So you're going to be paying him at least $5 million, but you're going to front load most of it in 2026. All right. Over the cap did a good job because here in 2025, it still has this $5.5 million. So if you were looking, if we were to keep him next year, his cap number would have been just the as-is contract. It would have been $7.125 million. All right, we're paying him $6.7 million this year, 786 to be exact. All right, and if we were to cut him next year, it would have been $2.25 million dead on the books. That won't happen. Here's my question. Because we did this in season, what I don't know is, do we have the ability to take David Montgomery and put some of that money on the cap this year, which we have $34 million. Now, we are going to have to go out there probably and get someone to help replace Hutchinson. We're going to have to do something throughout the year that's going to cost us some money. So you want to leave some money there, but you could put a lot of this guaranteed money on this year's books before you make a crazy, crazy move. All right, so we're looking at this now. All of a sudden in 25 and 26, about $9 million, or 26 and 27, about $9 million will be added to each. One other thing I will say that's interesting to note about this, his original contract with us was a 3-year, $18 million deal. So now we're extending him for 2 more years, again for $18 million, which means that we are going to get him for, and again, I want to talk about this. We are going to get him for 5 years, $36 million. That's what the ending value is going to be. So there you go. All right. And now I want to show you some of the best backs in the league and what they're getting paid. All right. So before you get down to the contract of David Montgomery, the 2-year extension at $9 million, you have Christian McCaffrey at $19 a year, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor at 14, Saquon at almost 12.5, Josh Jacobs at 12, Joe Mixon at 10, Ramondre Stevenson is what he'll be getting paid. he will be getting paid $1 million more than DeAndre Swift, $1 million more than Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, all these kind of guys. Now, here's the question. Right now, he's down here at $6 million. What will these numbers look like in 2 years when he's actually getting paid that? And again, you need to understand this is actually a 5-year, $36 million contract, which brings his total contract from the beginning of the signing to the end at about $7.25 million, which is directly in line with Tony Pollard. Who would you rather have on your team, David Montgomery or Tony Pollard? When you look at total value, it would put him right next to exactly with Ramondre Stevenson and where he is at. Ramondre just signed that contract, by the way. All right? He just signed that contract. So I look at this and I look at a couple of other things. He's 27 years old. It's going to keep him through about 30, which good, bad. 30 will be the last year, but that'll be the year where there's not a lot there. I think we're going to – that's the thing. Nobody knows where this money is going to be spread out yet. We just don't know. So I think that will give us a lot to be considered. But here's what I want to tell you about David Montgomery. I'm just going to pull up some PFF stuff for you. All right? He's at 75 carries for 352 yards. All right? This is through 5 games. All right? 6 touchdowns, almost 5 yards a pop, 4.7 yards per carry. His overall rushing and even receiving grade are pretty darn near the best in the league. They are. I want to show you something that's crazy because I know we all love Jahmyr Gibbs. I know we all know what Jahmyr Gibbs can do. Jahmyr Gibbs has just a few less yards on about 8, 9 less carries. He has half the touchdowns. His yards per carry are 5.3. But when you look at overall rushing, and here's the weird thing, even receiving, Jahmyr Gibbs does not grade as high. So I'm like, all right, PFF, what are we looking at? So let's look at a couple things. I just want to compare our apples to apples here. Our 2 great running backs. I know they're totally different. I know they're totally different running backs. And even David Montgomery in his post-game interview said, you can't even compare us. We're totally different. Or Gibbs said that. All right? Gibbs has had 18 targets in receiving. He's turned that into 14 catches for 104 yards. As compared to David Montgomery, who's had 10 targets for 10 catches and 94 yards. He has been very efficient in the receiving game. And I don't know if you noticed this, but on third down, David Montgomery was often the back that was in. This is not just a signing for David Montgomery and how good he is. This is a signing to make sure that your 22-year-old Jahmyr Gibbs can get to 25, 26 years old as Montgomery's starting to age out, that Jahmyr Gibbs is still going to be a great running back because you have another running back with him in Montgomery that can do an equal split and an equal share. So instead of Jahmyr Gibbs having what happened to Christian McCaffrey happen to him, because he's so good, you need to have another great running back in order to convince you not to put him on the field consistently. So Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be able to hopefully stay healthier, going to have 3/4 of the miles on his body over the next 3 or 4 years as David Montgomery continues to be on this team. All right, this half a year and then the next 3 years. This is what is so perfect about this move, is it keeps this 1-2 punch, and it helps us realize, look, we got Decker signed for the length of this. We have Penei Sewell signed for the length of this. Graham Glasgow for all but 1 year of this. We are keeping the line intact. Frank Ragnow for the next couple years. We are going to keep this crew intact, and the thought process is, with this current offensive line, plus these 2 running backs, we have what is arguably the best running game in the NFL. And if you have the best running game in the NFL, that's a really good move, especially after you lose your best pass rushing defensive end. You need to be able to stay on the field. You need to be able to keep your defense off the field and give them a rest, because the way they play defense is going to be totally different. 3 and outs are going to be much harder. Free plays by Hutchinson sack, you're not going to get off the field as quickly, as often. Run the football. It's a good way to play complementary football. I don't have any problems with this signing. Hey, we've said before, we pay our own. $9 million in 2 years is going to be equivalent to like $6 or $7 million now. That's the way the salary cap works. It keeps going up, at least if the NFL keeps doing well. And right now, NFL is king. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. All right, thanks for watching the video. Hope you wanted to hear a little something different than just talking about Hutchinson's broken leg. and again, we will talk about it. Chris already did, but wanted to share something else that I thought was just good, savvy moves by Brad Holmes. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.